Hello, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, based on the time zone that you are placed. In today's video tutorial, we will discuss about how to install Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2016. The steps will remain same for installation of NAV 2015 and 2013 R2, other than the supported hardware and the software requirements, which change for every version. I'll be doing this demo on a single machine, but we'll be doing steps like we are doing it on a 3-tier architecture, and so that you can actually use this video for an installation on a client environment. At the end of the video, on the last phase of the video, we'll discuss how to install Dynamics NAV 2016 if you are a developer or a consultant and planning to do it on your personal PC, where till 2009 we used to install demo. So there are some issues with that, and those are not actually issues, those are something which we miss before installation that we need to read. We'll also try to cover all the questions which are being asked about installation and configuration on various forums. So let's start with downloading Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2016. So let's open your Internet Explorer and Google Microsoft Dynamics, download Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2016. So the first thing that you find is from the partner source, which you can select, and you will be navigated to a page like this. The thing that you need to remember, that you need to have a partner source account to download the product. So once you are in the page, you can go to the product download section and select the product DVD that suits or that is required by you based on your country localization. Just one more thought, whenever you plan to install it on a client server, it is recommended by Microsoft that instead of downloading the product DVD, initial product DVD, you should always use the latest cumulative update DVD, so that all the necessary fixes which are done by Microsoft on the latest cumulative update are there with the customer. So for the demo, I'm using the initial build of 2016, and in the next video we'll cover how you can apply the cumulative update on top of what is installed on the customer server. So for the demo, I'm using the United States product DVD, which is Navigen NA. So you click on download, it asks you, and then it's download the product, and let's say I already downloaded and placed it on my desktop. I renamed it to NAV 2016 NA. So the first thing that we need to remember, or the first installation error which most of the guys face, is that during installation the Navigen installer generates an error message that the file name is too long. The reason being that the installer is placed on a extended path, like let's say D drive, system, Microsoft, and then you place the DVD and then you extract it and all. So the suggestion would be to keep it as near to the root. So what I did is I copied and extracted the product DVD from there on the nearest root that I had, that is C drive installer. Here is the product DVD which I downloaded. I extracted and again renamed it so that my path for the files have a small name, which is C installer 2016. Second thing, we should remember that we should always run setup as administrator. So always right click and run setup as administrator. Once you click on it, it'll ask for a confirmation message, which I cannot show you on the video because that's on the administrative panel, and this window appears. So you click next, you accept the agreement. Even for the developer and consultant who are installing on their machine, I'll say never go with install demo. I'll explain the reason at the end of the video or during as the course we go on. So let's go to the another option, which is choose an installation option, and as I told you, we are going step by step. So I'll say, let's say developer customize. So my first part is to install the SQL Server component, as in what is need to be on a SQL box. So consider this as a client scenario where you have a SQL server, a Navision server, and then you have clients. So right now I'm installing the SQL server part. So just uncheck what is not required, and that is everything other than SQL server component. So once I uncheck everything, I have this SQL server, which with some component also contain a demo database. But before installing it, let's go to again to Internet Explorer and explore something. So here I am on my Internet Explorer, and I go to the Google back and I close this tab just to keep it clear, and I search for system requirement for NAV 2016 plus MSDN. So I get this first link, which is Dynamics NAV 2016 MSDN. I open it on a new tab, and from this page, and that is a step which I would suggest to go ahead with the every component that you install in Navision. You should know the system requirement that are required for this. From here I can see the system requirement. Once I click on it, there's a detailed page from Microsoft where you can see. So right now we are installing the SQL server, so not the client component. Let's go to the server component and see the database server component system requirement. Okay, so here I can see that my supported operating system should be Windows 10 8.1 with some particular additions, and 64-bit edition and enterprise and education only. 8.1, if you have 8.1, then this. If you are using on the server which will be on the server at the production environment, then these two operating systems are supported. Hard disk and memory, we normally have it. This is the minimum that Microsoft suggests. Then it says that you need to have a SQL Server 2014 Express Standard or Enterprise, and then it also support your SQL Server 2012 with SP2 Standard and Enterprise Express. And if you don't have the SQL Server installed, which will be case on your machine maybe, but it should not be the case on your customer environment. If it is not there, Microsoft installed the Express edition, which is a free edition, and it automatically installs it. Now there are certain limitations of the Express edition which will be installed default by Microsoft, and we'll discuss it once the installation started for this. So just for the your information, I have SQL Server 2012 installed on my machine, but I'll still go with the nav demo instance. So I'll click next. So it asks me the SQL Server instance. In your case, if you are doing it on your machine, which is a developer machine, it will already populate as nav demo, and this is the database name. And then you have some options, and you say apply. Once you say apply, it keep on installing it. So once it is installed, and if you don't have the SQL server installed, it will also install the Express edition. Once it's installed, let's look into the what are our limitation with the SQL Express edition, because that's a free edition and it comes up with some limitations. So I'll Google it again. Okay, to the point it's installing, we will have a look on the limitations. So just Google limitation of SQL Server Express edition, and I'll select, let's say, this one, the zone. I have read this, so let's look into it. And here it is installing the Cronus demo database. Come a bit down, and here it says view the limitations, which is maximum memory utilized. Sorry, it came down. Maximum memory utilized by SQL Server database engine is 1 GB. Maximum size of the database, that is the total size of the database that your Express edition can support, is up to 10 GB. So once all your database sizes is aggregate the size more than 10 GB, the SQL Express will not support it. And then there are others like dedicated admin, trash flag, and no SQL profiler, and all those stuff. So if you are a developer and trying to do it on your machine, you are good to go with this. but for the customer environment, I would suggest to go with the license version. I would not suggest, it's recommended to go with the purchase version of SQL. So right now it's installing the Cronus database. I'll open my SQL Server Management Studio, which will where it is restoring, or I would say it's restored now. Okay, so as in this is completed, so let's see the SQL Server component. This is my SQL Server Management Studio NAV demo instance, and here you can see my demo database is restored. You don't get a management studio with the Express edition, so you need to download it separately from Microsoft side. And how you can do that, there is again, you can Google it, and let's say download SQL Server 2014 Management Studio, because as we see here, the supported version is 2014 also, so the Express edition will be installed of 2014. Once you find this, let's navigate to this one, the official page. Okay, once you select this link, it will open the Microsoft site where you can download the Management Studio. So here's the Microsoft SQL 2014 Express, but our Express edition is already installed by Navision, so we don't need that. So when you click on download, it gives you so many files, and you don't need to download all. You only need to come down and select this SQL Server Management Studio 84, 86 or 64 based on your server where you are installing SQL. It can be 64-bit or it can be 32-bit. You select it, you download it, and it's just a next to install the SQL Management Studio. Once you have that Management Studio, you can actually use this, and it have other uses, like you can set the permissions, you can have run some small SQL queries which you find. So this is what we need to do to set up the SQL Server. So now we are good to go, and let's assume that now we have moved to the next server, and again I'll run this setup as administrator. Once I run that as administrator, it will to my screen it shows that add and remove component and all, but in your case it will again, because that's on a separate machine, the same menu icons will appear. So I'll select this. Now in this time I only need the service tier. So this is my service tier, install Microsoft Dynamics NAV service tier. So I'll select this. Okay, okay, and then I also need the console where I can stop and start service, so I'll select this also. So these two components I'm selecting, but at the same time I also want to have my web server hosted over here, so for accessing the web client. So I select this, and I also want the help server to be configured on the same machine, so I do this. It's based on the customer requirement. They might want to have a web server on a separate server and a health server on a separate, or all these three servers on a single machine. So that's based on your requirement. So for the demo I'm using help server component, web server component, server and administrative tool on the Navision server. But again, before installing, let's go back to the system requirement and see what are the requirement for 1, 2, 3 and 4, all the 4 components which we are planning to install on our server. So the first one which we are planning to install is my the Navision server. So here is my nav server, which is Dynamics NAV server requirement. I come down, it says Windows 10, 8.1, Windows 8 and all those server operating system. Just to check this, you can click on my PC and kind of navigate to the system, or from the all control panel you can go here on the system, and you can see that what version you have, Windows 10 Pro or not. So mine is Windows 10 Pro, which is supported for NAV server requirement. if you have 8.1 professional, which is pro, or enterprise edition, will be supported. In the same way the other operating system will be supported, and the rest are kind of predefined, or I would say, let's say what is our second component is web server component. So what I need for that, I need these operating system, again kind of similar, but there are some changes. You can read it through. And then in the same way, when you go to the health server, so let's navigate on the top and see the health server requirement. My health server has some operating system limitation that it will be installed on, and then it need IIS for sure, which can be again installed on only these supported operating system. So if you have everything in place which is required for this particular component to install, just click on next, and here is the window. So it says where you want the service to be hosted. You can specify the server name if you want, that is the local server name, or let's keep it localhost. If you want to change the service name, you can do it from here. By default it's Dynamics NAV 90. I'm using these ports for NAV 2 or 15, so I have that also installed, so I'll just change them to 9. Make sure the ports which you are giving are not being used by any other service in the system. It's not Navision, other services also. So I give these ports, and then you have the new fields. Make sure that you enable rule to firewall, and others you can set yes or no based on how you want. You can change it later once it's installed. Okay, so let's say I'll say yes for the SOAP. Let's come down. You need to specify the first machine where we install the SQL Server over here. That's SQL Server machine. In my case, that's all done on same system, so it's automatically appearing at here, but you need to specify the server name over here. And then there is a port for the health server, and there is a port for web server component. So you can configure them based on how your client system or your system is configured and which ports are free. So once you are done, hit apply, and one by one it will install all the components and whatever is required for your server to be there. Make sure when you are installing server, make sure that for sure you should have a look on some requirement. There are so many issues which people report because they don't look on the supporting operating system or supporting SQL Server versions and all those stuffs. So make sure you go through this before you plan to install a particular component or a particular server component or a client component. So there are again some prerequisites, or I would say the hardware and software requirement for the clients. Till the point of installing, there is one more error which most of us face, which is that they have the SQL Server installed by the client team, and they are facing some errors while everything is installed good, but they cannot access their SQL Server and all those stuff. The one reason is that they have their SQL port blocked by the firewall, and the default SQL port is 1433. So I'll go to Google and let's Google it, that how we can add 1433 on the firewall, how to enable port number 1433 on firewall. So once you do that, you get so many links how you can enable it, and how you can access the firewall, and then select the port number, TCP port number 1433, or you can select the EXEs, which is in our case is SQL Server EXE, and then add that particular into the list. So there are the steps how to do it, and they are pretty simple, so anybody can replicate them. One more thing, that while installing, we selected the account to be used for running services, Navision services, is the network service account. It is recommended, or I would say the best practice, to use a domain account to run the services, and the account which you are using should have the expiration policy set to never expire. That on the Windows side. So that is something which is mandatory. The reason being, if you have a password expiration policy set on an account which is used to run any of the services, and if the password expires, your all the services where it is configured to run the service will stop and will not execute. So make sure that you use a domain account, but ask your customer ID team to make that account as the password expiration policy as never expires. Other than that, once you have the account in place, we are using network service, right? So I'm taking this as an example. So this will be your one of your domain account which is configured to run services. Go to the properties of that particular account and never ask for sysadmin. Here it is sysadmin because of the configuration which are required, but I'll uncheck that is actually not required. So go to the properties of that particular account and make sure you go to the user mapping. Once you go to the user mapping, it shows you the list of database inside that particular instance. So I have the 2 databases. So make sure that whatever the database you're configuring for that particular client will have at least DB owner set. So the DB owner is the minimum permission that you require to have the user to run your services. So if X user is used to run the Navision services, he should have the DB owner permission, and from here you can assign it. Once you have this assigned, there will be no issues regarding service access. The reason being, I'm saying not to ask for sysadmin because it's a security concern, and you'll find many administrators which will not comply with you or not agree with you in providing sysadmin to an account which may be used for running network service Navision services, and they are correct at that point. So Microsoft doesn't say you to be sysadmin to run services. You just need only to be the DB owner. Once you are the DB owner of the on the database, you can run Navision services, which we'll see in a while. And let's see where our installation is. Installing the server. Let's hold for a minute and let's see. Okay, so after let's say 5-10 minutes, it took more time because my system is a bit slow. It's about to complete all the components which you selected to install on the Navision server. So as this being installed, and I selected the North America version, so as you can see, it is installing the language module for the different countries which are part of the US release. So in the meantime, it completes it. Let me open the IIS to check it, what has been done over there. ISS, sorry, my bad. Okay, it's so after a while this has been completed, and as I was saying, let's open IIS and see what has been done over there. So let me close this, and oh sorry, where is my IIS? Yes. So let's see what has been done over here. So if I navigate to site, there are 2 sites has been created. One is for the help and one is for the web client, and if you see, the port is 8080 as configured during installation, and the port is 49000 as configured again during the installation. So our server part is again over, and we can also open the service panel. Let me check where it is, and once that is done, the next part that is remaining is our Dynamics NAV client. So let's go and do the last part of the this tutorial. Again, run it as always as administrator. Now we have done it twice, so I'll just say it. Before installing, go to the MSDN and check the prerequisite before you plan to install the client also. So once you are done, on the client screen you'll see the same screen. Just select the custom installation. I'll select add or remove here because I'm doing on the same machine, and make sure that you say run on my computer, because if you say run all on my computer, it also contains the developer environment, which we don't want and we should not install on every client machine, because that is nothing that they can do. They cannot do anything over there, and every user should not have access to this. As of now, assume that I am a system administrator, and I am, as a system administrator who take care of importing objects and exporting objects or compiling objects, he need to have the developer environment. Or the other way around is you can select developer environment installation at the service tier, because all the compilation, at least the table compilation, need a active service on the same machine. So either you install developer environment only at the IT administration machine, who will be responsible for importing objects and compiling objects, or at the service tier, who will only have access by the IT team. And then you just click next, and once you are doing this, it'll ask you about the server. Now in this at this particular moment, the server is not SQL we are talking about. The server is the Navision server, where our middle tier reside. So if your middle tier is, let's say, nav server middle tier is the name of your server, you need to put it over there. Then you have a service which you configured at the Navision server. You need to specify its name, and the port will port whatever the numbers you have given over there. So that will install it over there, and let's say apply, and it'll do the installation of the client. At the same time, let's have a look on where is my service tier which was installed, and we were not able to see it. Administration. So till the time it is installing, let's have a look. I have the service tier. These are for older versions, so don't care about it, but I just installed this one using our the NAV 2016 product DVD, and because the installer is taking most of the memory, so I don't have the free memory right now. But let's see. Okay. Installing. Here is my service tier. So as you can see, I have this Dynamics NAV 90 just installed. So if I click on this, I can see the settings which I specified during installation, and the port numbers and the services which I enable. So my database name reside on the second tab, which is database. So my instance is nav demo, my database name is this, my SQL server is this, and my client services tab is this. As you remember, I enabled the SOAP, but I didn't enable the OData. So the SOAP is enabled, while OData is still not enabled, and you can enable it if you want by added. And if during installation you might have set up the network service account, and after watching this video, or you learned it somewhere, that you need to change it to a domain account with the password expiration policy set to never expire, you can just go here on the right hand tab and select the login account, and you can change it over here. So once everything is configured as per the steps which we discussed, you should not have any issues while running the client. And if you face any, you can come back to me. I'll be happy to help. You can email me, or you can put comments on this video. So let's wait and see when this gets installed. So as you can see, it's installed. So most of the part which we wanted to cover is complete. So less on the last thing. If you are a developer, what all component you need to select while you are installing, I'll just go through them in one go. So as a developer, you need everything on your machine. You need to have a local Terminal database on your machine, and you need to run web client for certain development, all those stuffs. So for a developer, I would recommend that let's uncheck all and then see what we need to select. Okay. So for a developer, we need a client and we need the developer environment, so we say run all this from there. We need a service there on their machine, so we say this. We need a server for sure, we need a SQL server, and if you want, you can have the Outlook add-in to do certain testing and development. Now when we talk about the web server and the health server, you will need them. That's pretty obvious that while working on Dynamics NAV for doing some development for your customer, you need the help server and the web server component to test that your solution is working over or not. But make sure that whenever you select this, I open the RTC which is just installed. While selecting this, make sure that you have the prerequisite softwares and hardware environment on your machine, or your system supports all those things which are required from MSDN. So if you follow and check over there before installing, you'll not have any issues. I have also compiled a list of supported operating system which will help you, and other prerequisite, a small PDF which summarize what is written on MSDN. So as you can see, let me close this and let's broaden this, and then you can read it out. So the supported operating system for Windows client, developer environment, NAV server and web server component. If you have a 32-bit machine, then these are supported, and also for 64-bit, all these are supported. In the same way, for the SQL server and health server, there are certain changes in the operating system. So first thing is only 64-bit operating system will be supported, and for SQL there is one addition, and for health server there is something else. Right. So your operating system should fall under this. There are some mandatory software like .NET Framework should be there. If it is not there, it will be installed by the Navision application, but not on the server, because in the server, .NET Framework is a part of a feature which can be enabled from the Server Explorer. So you cannot install .NET Framework on the server. You need to make sure that it's enabled. Windows PowerShell 3.0, some of the server listed above will have this inbuilt. If you are doing it on client, it will be done automatically by Navision exe. You need to have IIS for the web client and the health server. Rest you don't need it, because your website, as we see here, is hosted on those on IIS. The supported SQL server for 2016 are these. For 2015 they can be different, and 2013 R2 they will be different. So make sure that you check it. If you want to run the reports at particular machine, you need to have a report viewer, which will again be installed by default. But if you want to design report, then you need to have either SQL Server report builder, which install automatically with certain parts, or you need to have a Visual Studio out of these versions to be installed on your server, where you are on the machine where you want to design the reports. If you want to edit or add a word layout, then you need to have a Microsoft Word 2013 or later edition. And if you want to integration of your Office with different application, then Office supported is Office 2013 and later. So I'll attach this somewhere, and I'll put the link. If I do it on my share drive or something, I'll try to attach it on video so that you can use it while installing. So in the meantime, let's have a look. This is my Navision client, or we say Windows client, which is configured and running on the same service which I created. Okay, and just for the demo, let's open sales invoice page. And it's a bit slow because my system it's using so much memory. And then just to test the help server, I'm just trying to show you how help server works and all. So at any point of time, you can click on this. The shortcut is F1, which will take you to the help server. Okay, and till the point my help site loaded, let's see the web client. So this is my web client, again pointing to the same port as you see, 8080, and my web client is also running without any issues. And here is my URL, which is loading for the web server, which is, if you see, it's going to 4900, which is the port which we provided during the installation, and which you can also see over here. It's my port number, sorry, help is this. So it's 4900. So it's going over here and it'll load you the HTML page which is published on your server. So I hope this video helps you somewhere during installation, and I tried to cover most of the issues which are raised in the many forums, and it should answer most of those questions. If you still have questions, you can always drop me an email. I might delay, but I'll surely reply to every email that you send it to me, and let me know your views. Thank you. Have a great day.